Hello and welcome back to the Pirate Players Dinner Now podcast. I am your Hampton football enthusiast, TJ Jones, and I'm here with our friend and analyst, Adam Lee Spencer. And we're going to talk about the first game of the season against the HBCU, or national champions, defending Jackson State Tigers. And Adam, I thought it was a great game as a whole. Certainly the Pirates came to play, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. I thought it was a great start for HBCU football as a whole to have a game like that uh, in Jackson, uh, week one. And, as we moved into, getting close to game time, there was a lot of narratives, a lot of different thoughts. Uh, the schedule of that game really brought on a lot of great conversations within the HBCU community. It kind of got Hampton back into the HBCU conversation just as a whole.
Well, at least in the SWAC communities, I don't never really understood why. I mean, 2 years ago we beat Grambling, so we've never been that far away. But I guess out of sight, out of mind at some level. And despite the fact that TSU and NCA&T are both also in different conferences, you're right. I will say that I was very proud that Hampton didn't back down. Specifically, this game was originally supposed to be on a neutral site game, right? Supposed to be in Chicago, and the fact that it still got played, that Hampton said, "Okay, we'll if it can't be in Chicago, then we'll come to your house." I thought just showed what kind of program we have and our willingness to take it to them. So, despite all of the conversation that was out there, Jackson State has a very, what I call, rabid fan base. They really believed that they were going to take the starters out by halftime. That's the kind of conversation we were getting. So I was more than happy to hear that go away.
Yeah, what is it? They say JSU by 40. That was out there, and it was just good to see the boys come in and show up.
Absolutely. And they more than showed up, especially with a lot of question marks, a lot of transfers, a lot of young guys playing. Proud of the way that they competed. There's always things to work on, but I'm feeling really good about this season and the type of coaching they're getting, and I think it's really going to be a good year. And I definitely think Jackson State walked away feeling like they may not want to play us again right away or anytime soon. I saw someone say, "See you again in 10 years."
Yeah, I think that's the framework for the season is development. This is a young team. This is a team that hasn't been able to be together long. In this college football environment as a whole, there's going to be more moving parts. It's going to be a more fluid build of chemistry and culture. So to see the way that the guys played and kind of stayed in with themselves and stayed in the game was good to see.
Well, let's talk about it. Just from a scoring perspective or from the battle perspective, we know that Hampton jumped out to a 7-0 lead. Big call, if I remember correctly. It was a 4th and 1, and our new quarterback, Isaiah Freeman, broke one for 60 plus yards down inside the 5-yard line, and so that was a great start. I think it was also maybe caught Jackson State a little off guard and realized that we were coming to play. So that was a really nice opening. Jaquan Snipes punched it in, and there we are, 7-0.
Well, that first drive, that's why you go out and you get Isaiah Freeman and you bring him into the program. We talked about it about 2 weeks ago now, as we looked at the incoming transfers, and I said it then. Isaiah Freeman was pretty much a one-man show during his time at Lincoln, and you got to see some of that early on in the drive. Little read option on 4th and 2. Defense up front took the dive, and he got the corner and was gone for 61 yards. That was a great start for us.
Indeed, indeed. And to be honest, the defense started off strong too. Right? The first one was nullified by running into the kicker penalty, and the second one gave Jackson State the opportunity on a fumbled fair catch. So I was really impressed with the defense because my concern has been for a while how well the new defensive line gelled, right? How well um, Yellock and Bethea would be able to bring that new defensive line together. But Cam Sturtevant was all over he was coming on every play. He was moving around. He was becoming, quite the agitator, as it would, and throughout the game, kind of, playing that rover safety scenario, was coming on blitzes, was run blitzing, he was coming in order to, put some pressure on Jacoby and Morgan.
Well, one of the things schematically that I noticed from the rip was that last year you had four linemen with their hand in the dirt. A majority of this game against Jackson, it was only three.
Hmm.
You had two guys who, the quasi defensive ends who were standing up, and they were bringing a sixth person a lot of times, maybe even a seventh person on the blitz. So I do think schematically we confused Jackson early, and that helped out a lot. The unfortunate stuff with the special teams challenges early did not help, to say the least. But I agree. Coach Yellock, Coach Bethea, the entire defensive staff really, I thought they were well prepared and came with a scheme to face this Jackson team, and I think it caught Jackson off guard.
We've heard so much about Jackson State's wide receivers, the two wide receivers that they have, the two big wide receivers, and those guys were relatively quiet throughout the game. I mean, they had a few good plays here and there, but our corners and safeties played just outstanding. And coach actually said it, right? He said up front that he thought the strength of the defense was going to be in the secondary, and he was not wrong. They were bringing out um, a lot of guys, and some real key things happened later on, which I'll get to, but that was the story. So Jackson State gets the fumble, they punch it in, so they get their 7. They come back later on and get put up another touchdown. Interesting thing, and the Jackson State running back who had a big day. Did you notice that a couple of that big day really came on two long runs? Otherwise, I thought the defense, even against the run, played pretty well. One was right at the end of the half, and the team was playing something of a prevent defense, right? And I think he ripped off I think it was like a 50 or 60-yard run right at the end of the first half, but they almost gave him that, you know. They gave him more than they intended. It was a 50-yard run. Ahmad Miller had a 50-yard run the last play of the first half because they were playing a prevent.
Two things about that. Yeah, obviously the first one, the 50-yard run, we were in a prevent and got caught.
Hmm.
Uh, the run to kind of ice the game, I felt like we got caught in a run blitz, and with all of those folks at the line of scrimmage, you get somebody to pop a gap, they're gone because it doesn't take much to get to the second level after that. There's no challenge for them at the second level, and he was gone. Unless you got a corner with a great angle and some speed, he's gone. And so that's what kind of happened on the second run. Um,
Yeah.
and it,
But
you hate to say it, but
between
that's
those two runs, outside of those two runs, they held up very well, and that was the bulk of his yardage was those two runs, right? To your point.
exactly, exactly. Um, that is the challenge that you're going to face, I think, for the fans. When you're doing what we were doing in that game schematically, that is a challenge you're going to face when you're committing that many people, first and foremost, to the box. Secondly, committing them in the blitz like that, with the way the college game is now, with a lot of the read option and the spread game. You're leaving yourself, yeah, you're leaving yourself open at the second level. And, let's give credit where credit is due. That kid Miller's got talent. If you giving him a free pass to the second level, he's going to hurt you. And that's what ended up happening.
Yeah, it just looked like he put his foot in the ground and he, the safety missed the angle, and after
Hmm.
that he was gone, right?
Yeah.
So the run fit was there. He cut back on the safety and kind of caught him flat-footed and took off. But m- to me, what was most interesting about that was the defense played really well, and the only time in the second half, once the game was tied, the thing that I noticed was that something happened in the second half. I don't know if it was just in the fourth quarter, but Will Hicks was out of the game at the end of the game. On that final drive, when they went up 21-14, Will Hicks was not in the game anymore. Hopefully he's fine. He's going to be, well, good to go. But that shifted the safety play around significantly from what I could tell. They did well, but when Will Hicks is your leader in the secondary, you're going to have some confusion. You're going to have some, things happen. So I think two safeties that were back there, they played valiantly, but you certainly lost some leadership when Hicks was out of the game, and he was out of the game for that drive, and certainly that play where we're talking about where Ahmad Miller took off on that run after the interception. Hicks was not in the game anymore.
Well, one of the things about that, because I thought that may have sealed the game was when Hicks went off the field, is that it felt like you weren't able to do as much with Sturtevant then when Hicks came off the field. Because they got a batted ball early in the game, and it was Hicks that was on the blitz. And I think both of them came. In fact, if I remember correctly, both of them came on the blitz. So when Hicks comes off the field, you're bringing in less experienced guys. So it takes away from some of the things you were able to do with Sturtevant, who was causing problems. And, and and missing Hicks, there was definitely it definitely caused us some challenges when he went down.
I think the secondary is going to get better and better. Certainly, they rotated a lot of corners. So you saw freshmen, just a lot of corners rotated in, which I think was as intentional given the heat and the humidity and the conditions and just the dragging on of the game. Again, and I want to give kudos to Ganther and I think it was Somerset, who were the safeties that they ended up in the game. Somerset's from transfer from Clark Atlanta. They played valiantly, after certainly throughout the game, but specifically after Hicks went down. But it was definitely something noticeable. Prior to that was the turnovers, right? We had generally turnover problems in this game, and you can't beat a team like Jackson State when you're losing a turnover battle.
Absolutely, the turnovers hurt. Um, and this is where the respect you have to have for your opponent. You can't give a team like Jackson State the ball twice when you've stopped them. And not only did you give them the ball twice in that situation, you gave them the ball, if I'm not mistaken, in the red zone.
Hmm. Well, certainly at least once, and then the other time
Uh,
and then
yeah, at least
the
once. The first time, you know,
the first one,
you give them the
right?
ball, and and then they get help with what I thought was a ticky tacky pass interference call in the end zone
Mm, yep,
to extend
yep.
that drive. Well, yeah, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the pass interference came on third down.
Despite all of that, I thought they showed up well, and
Uh-huh.
I was really paying attention to like even things like our offensive line. Um, they had both of the transfers in there, Burrows and Young, and then they also had some other individuals kind of working through. Um, and
Hmm.
for the most part, they had a lot of trouble with what's his name, Ivory. Um,
Yes.
the They had a lot of trouble with him coming off the edge, but
Hmm.
they it was less so in the second half until we had situations where Freeman had to hold the ball longer in order to try to look for patterns down the field. In the end, I thought they played well. I'm always interested in the young guys who show up and step up and play well. By the way, yeah, I mean certainly as I expected, Michael Matthews Canty was all over the field, getting his tackles in. But they were doing a lot of things, getting a lot of tackles for losses. You could tell the Hampton had been watching tape. They knew what to do. A lot of plays on the Jackson State side of the line of scrimmage. We were unable to get any takeaways, and we were unable to get any sacks. Right, so we lost. So we were unable to do a couple things that we probably needed to do to offset some of our own challenges. My question for you was going to be: any young players that really stood out to you?
Jakai Chavis, no questions
Yes,
asked.
yes, sir. He was serious spark plug in their second half, and you know we have a number of running backs. I wasn't sure which running back was going to emerge as the third running back, but he has more size on him and can break tackles more than I thought. For a freshman, he's
There
physical.
is no way that kid's only 185. No way. Because the first touch he got the ball up to, I think it was up the middle, and he hit it, and he was scooting. I was like, okay. And then and he went off to the sideline, and the camera stayed on him. I'm like, that's not the same kid I saw listed as 5'10", 185. He was really impressive. I thought he caught the ball well with the play when uh, Isaiah Freeman had to pull a Russell Wilson,
Yep.
and the traveling music started playing, and he had to just let it go. Isaiah made a great play just to get the ball off. On top of that, the moves that Chavis made to get the first down, and I think he got about 15 yards on the play. He showed himself. I think one of the things schematically that I noticed, especially offensively, was um throwing the ball to the outside. And it wasn't that, they were throwing these deep 15 yards out. It was more these swing passes or these tunnel screens to the outside. I thought Shepard looked good in that role, catching the ball out of the backfield. And
Yeah.
obviously, I think the other name you got to throw out there is Braden Davis. Though we didn't punch the ball in on any of his drives, for me, he settled the offense down a lot with the completions and just the ability to move the ball. And it felt like it put Jackson on their heels. And most importantly, it took time off the clock in that game because we won the
Yeah, I mean,
possession battle.
oh yeah. I've already been on record saying I think he would be the one to watch for. I think that's going to continue throughout the season. The way I would describe him is he looked calm in the pocket. He kept his eyes down the field, and I also thought that he threw what I call a catchable ball. When you put it in the right spot for the receiver, not above you, not behind you, where a receiver has to contort himself to make the play. It looked like a very catchable ball. So I'm hoping that progression continues. Coach Boykins already said he's going to continue to run both guys, which we talked about, right? We were already on that. We said there was going to be good possibility we were going to have the same thing as last year.
Yeah, I think you'll see that at least through next week. Well, Saturday versus Elizabeth City State, and possibly the A&T game. If there's a separation or a decision made about the quarterback position, you'll see it come either during or after the game against A&T.
That's a big if. um, I think the CAA is a league where your quarterbacks are going to take a lot of punishment, and
Mm-hmm.
so the the likelihood that you need both of them is very high anyway. So I don't know that you have a quote unquote decision in this case. Freeman played a lot more than Davis in
Mm-hmm.
minutes, and I think you will continue to see an imbalance one way or the other, but they will
Mm-hmm.
both play, I think, ongoing. We have, I think a solid group as a whole. I was really happy with the defense, the way the defense came out and was willing to play, and took it to them. I would like to see, hopefully, that they, the the pass rush schemes change a little bit in order to put some pressure on. Um, and we know we'll see probably a lot of young players get a chance against Elizabeth City, but we want to make sure it's not a trap game where we coming off a big game against Jackson State and going into A&T the following week. It's an opportunity for it to be closer than we might expect it playing a D2 team having nothing to do with Elizabeth City as a whole. So
Yeah, a quick word for the fan base. So this coming Saturday, we play Elizabeth City State University, an old CIAA rival, at home at Armstrong at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get out there if you can. Let's get out there and support the team. We want to. Hopefully, we get to see a good win. There's also other reasons behind getting out there and supporting the team. This Saturday, they will honor our Athletics Hall of Fame inductees for the 2025 season. Being inducted will be at Yvette Lewis track and field, Jerome Mathis football and track and field, Roger DeSantis tennis, Kelly Wells Brinkley track and field, Dr. James Griffin track, football, and basketball coach and educator, Cordell Jerome Taylor, somebody I interviewed during his time at Hampton and I took a humanities class with. A whole lot of modern Pirate fans will remember that name, Cordell Taylor. And they will also honor one of the nicest, most hospitable, and most humble coaches you will ever meet in former women's coach Patricia Cage Bibbs. So they'll have the induction ceremony Friday night, September 5th. In addition to the Hall of Fame honorees, they will honor longtime Department of Athletics Administrator John Buster Jackson, who will be honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award, along with the 1985 football team. If I'm not mistaken, that's the team that won the championship under Fred Freeman. So if you can, please get out there and not only support the team, but support some of our former Pirates that'll be coming back.
Well said. Certainly an opportunity to come back, come out, support the team, see some old friends, and to pay homage to folks who have paved the way. So glad you're able to get that in there. And certainly a good reason to do so. I'm looking forward to a great next rest of the month of September. And hopefully we get a chance to chat again, maybe towards the end of the month, and talk about how we're doing at that point. So this has been your Pirate Players Then and Out podcast with TJ Jones and Adam Lee Spencer. Take care.